All right, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to Locker Room Sports. I'm your host, Big Matt. Thank you for coming by and hanging out with us here. Game week is upon us. We are way under 2 weeks away from some big games kicking off. Make sure you hit the thumbs up here, like the video, to help get it out there amongst the crowd. We sure would appreciate it. Jeff Anderson, what's up, dude? Good to see you on here. Hope you're having a good day there, Jeff. Everything's going well for you over there in the great state of Georgia. Jeff says that Ryan Day announced yesterday that Julian will be the starting quarterback for the Texas game. Also mentioned that Squirrel transferred to Free Shoes for a bunch of money, and his friend of his who graduated from Tennessee wishes him all the unfortunate luck. Let's see here. Yeah, Squirrel White. He's talking about Squirrel White. He played around here locally some. He's at Florida State. He left Tennessee, and Boo Carter at Tennessee. Also, while we're talking about it, Boo Carter has had some. He's not done so great. It's not done so great here. It's just a lot of expectations, and I think he may be holding out for a little bit of money. I don't know. Share the video over there on one of your pages or something and let everybody know where they can find us here at Locker Room Sports. So give everybody a minute or two to come on here and get on the live show here. We've got a couple of guys watching. So today, of course, I guess you can tell as we've clicked on the video here, we're going to be talking about Alabama, Florida State. Okay, week one matchup here. And excuse me. Next week, of course, we'll do a more in-depth look at we know the team at Bama, so it's kind of going to be more about Florida State and Bama fans. It's what you can look forward to. And then next week we'll be looking more in depth into Baylor as Auburn travels over. The state of Alabama is going to be traveling over there on they'll be playing on Friday, so. I'm going to tell you right now, and I hadn't done anything on Florida State. Just being honest with you, that's what we do. Just being honest. Of course, we know the Castellano guy's the quarterback. He comes from Boston College and played at Central Florida. He's a small guy, 5'10" or so. He threw for about 1,500 yards, 61%, had 18 touchdowns and 5 picks. His last stint there where he was playing at Central Florida. He's a very electric player, so Alabama defense is you're going to need to pay attention. He can get out there and run in space. He's a fast, quick young guy, and we're going to talk a lot of crap, and that's just the nature of the beast, and he's talked his own amount of crap. So, Alabama fans, sit down, buckle up, grab you a bucket of popcorn, and let's get started. Running backs, Bama fans are familiar with one of the running backs there at Florida State, be Roy Dale. He had a total of 26 carries last year, and he had about 50 yards rushing. I'm serious. And we know Florida State had a bad year last year. Now they got a sophomore lined up back there behind him, Cam Davis, another big guy there, that typical 5'10", 210 kind of weight range. The size you want, 5'10", 220. Good looking backs here, and have a transfer. Florida State has a lot of transfers. This is what I didn't know. I didn't know they had so many. Got a lot of new players in. This Gavin Sawchuk kid from Oklahoma that I talked a lot about him when he was coming in out there. Keeping up with him in recruiting and stuff. I thought he was really good. I think Sawchuk's a good back. He's a junior this year, and he's transferred over. He's at Florida State. So Florida State's got they got about 5 tailbacks. Now, none of them are freshmen. None of them are freshmen. So they've got a experienced group. Of course, Roy Dale is a senior. He'll be leading their running back room. So you saying, Matt, they got a bunch of pretty experienced running backs. Tell me about their offensive line. Well, all their starters on offensive line are all seniors. and they're all that 295, 300-pound area. Very, very experienced offensive line, all seniors. They're all transfers, except for the right guard, Richie Leonard. Richie Leonard's the only one that is there from last year at Florida State. So they got a completely revamped offensive line. So I wanted to start there because we all know that the games are won up front. That's where you win football games. So, how's this going to play out? How's, the Bama defense? They have 9 guys back on defense, Lawson and Jefferson up front there, and Tim Keenan up there, running stuff. Robinson, Q, they got a lot of experienced guys that come back to play, and I think they come back for a reason. I think there's a real intent that they did come back, and it's definitely prevalent at practice. Now, also, so we're talking about Florida State now. Practice for them as the week has went on, they've had some guys stand out. Just kind of go through that with you. Standouts this week, freshman safety Charles Lester has been a standout, been a real big star this week, 4-star guy. I think he played down there at Cocoa down there. And if you played high school football around Cocoa, Florida, you're a good football player. I'm just going to go ahead and let you Bama fans know, okay? Another star that stood out that a lot of their people are talking about, the defensive end guy, he's been a true star all through the summer. They're really leaning on him a lot of defensive end. McCrary, this is a guy that you're going to have to keep your eyes open for. They got 4 seniors on defense, 5 transfer starters. So on defense, a lot of their guys up front are their starters or transfers in. So as well as that offensive line we just talked about, and I got to brag, dude, you got an all-senior offensive line, but they didn't play there last year. So we talked about the defense line. We're just talking about transfers. I'm kind of trying to give you an idea. What's up, Ben? Trying to give you an idea of all the transfers that Florida State's got, guys. We started talking about Castellano, played Boston College, then Central Florida. He played high school at Ware County. And if you know Georgia high school football, I know a little bit. I know some friends. Co-host Dean coaches over at Chattooga over there. And Burge covers that. Ware County is great. He threw for 2,200 yards at Boston College. Okay. So they got these transfers in, but they're not – these guys, they got a lot of seniors transfers. Now, their offensive line, I told you they were all seniors, except one right guard, Richie Leonard. Listen to this now. This is where they're from. Left tackle, played at Vandy, come in. Left guard from Central Florida, Castellano. Their center was from Wake Forest. And their right tackle come from Ole Miss. So you got 2 SEC guys. You got your right tackle and left tackle, your bookends over there, both SEC schools. And in the middle, you got one guy turning there at right guard, returning your left guard from Central Florida, which knows the quarterback very well. Probably likes to – may have been a double dive deal there. I'm coming and I'm like to bring my tackle with me. Probably was tackle up there. I don't know that. I'm only assuming. And they put him at guard there at Florida State. And you see my eyes. I'm looking at these papers, and I'm not picking them to win. I was, thinking maybe Bama by 3 touchdowns, and they're picked by 13.5. Okay, Vegas they're usually right. They may be. I just don't know why I'm saying this because I know they're always right. They may be closer than I thought they was. If they can get all these guys together at Florida State. It depends on what kind of summer they've had. Coach Norvell and their line coach, defensive coordinator stuff. If they can get all their plays in, it's game 1. It's at home. That helps. So they're not – it is tough to go on the road and play. It is. It's a little bit tougher. But with all these guys, their linebacker come from Nebraska, the Stephon Thompson, 26 tackles. While he was there, so he's a guy that they're talking about. Nose tackle Jackson, defensive tackle Daniel Lyons is another name to keep up with. Now, the big standout that a lot of the Florida State fans are looking at, and coaches have seen some excitement from him. He's been a big standout. Is Juice, Cryen, Crayon, Juice Cryen. That's what they call him. His name is, I think it's Julian or something. He's been a big standout. It's number 28. You're going to see him playing. He'll be linebacker. He's playing in the middle, and he may be that guy that can roam in or out, kind of like a Lawson or something, or if he'll play Jefferson or something, like that spot, kind of roaming in and out. Another defensive end that's come in here and has really stepped up last year. This is just one that I picked up on. He had a lot of tackles last year. James Williams had a good year last year. So that's the defensive end that we're talking about. Then the McCray kid on the other end he's had a really good summer. So wide receiver room, Deuce Robinson, and the Graham kid. Now here's the name, Squirrel White. Everybody knows who he is. Played at Tennessee. He's a real playmaker. Played around here kind of close. He's that Devontae Smith, I guess, kind of, smaller kind of fast guy. He's not going to be like a large, body kind of guy that's going to get out there and push people around. He's going to catch the ball out in space somewhere, and he'll get gone. He'll be gone up the sideline, Mama, and he will score. Squirrel White's a football player. And I guess Florida State offered him, enough cash to leave Tennessee. And when I started out the show with the running backs, Roy Dale Williams left Alabama. Saban retired. He said, I'm out. He wanted them to pay – because you have to have – there's taxes involved in these NIL monies and stuff, and he didn't want to pay all this tax money on it. When Saban brought in a consultant for the team, that's when all the guys started jumping out. That was some of the reason that Saban left too. He'd already kind of planned to go because you can tell the conversation between him and Kirby at the SEC championship game. Appreciate you. Thank you for all the, and I'm like, what? Well, at the time we didn't know. So, but it didn't work out for Roy Dale. Went up 50 yards rushing last year on 26 carries. Good Lord, man, that's terrible. And I liked him. I thought he was a good back there at Bama. So, and they're maybe two deep solid, 1, 2. You can go right through here, and I've got their roster pulled up here through it's what is the name of it? It's Ireland's Florida State Seminoles football. And, looking at their wide receiver room, they're 3 deep, across their slot and their X and their Z spots. And that Lawrence McCoy, guy we've been talking about, you got a freshman that Jaden Boggs is a freshman. They've talked about him through the summer. He's the one, he played at Cocoa, Florida. And then the sophomore played slot, BJ Gibson. He had a couple of catches, last year, played it over at Wilcox County over in Georgia. These are good high schools, man. This is going to be very interesting. Camden Fryer, another freshman they talked about this summer, a little young white guy, 6 foot or so, played up down there at Lake City, Florida. He's somebody that's on the roster there. Elijah Moore, another redshirt freshman. This guy come in, he played up north somewhere, but he's tall, 6 foot, 200 pound. But Deuce Robinson and Gavin Blackwell, and of course Squirrel White. Guys, Squirrel White had, he had over 800 yards at Tennessee. When you take a, close to 1,000-yard receiver, 800, 900 yards at receiver, he transfers over if they can get him the ball. Okay. So, more or less I've laid this out for you to show they've got their whole offensive line is transfers except one, but they're all seniors. A offensive line of seniors that's played valuable football. 2 of them from SEC teams, Ole Miss and Vandy. The other one from Central Florida, another one from ACC team from Wake Forest. That's not a big problem. That sounds like that's a good problem to have for them right now. And it all hinges on how well they've accepted the offensive plan there at Florida State. We know who's there calling plays. And Gus Malzahn is, he's given some trouble to a lot of teams. And they're in-state rival. He's beaten Nick Saban a time or two. The style of offense that he runs, these quick little guys, and you have guys like Squirrel White and them, and how they're going to be added in this offense. And you got a little 6 foot, 200-pound quarterback that's a quick, style quarterback. He's probably really like a slot receiver nearly that can throw the ball. And a lot of these guys throw sidearm stuff, and that's kind of how the game is now. Vegas says 13.5. I would be hard pressed to. Who else? Y'all give me the comments here. I'm gonna put yours up here, Ben. We're gonna talk about Ed O. Who is confident enough over there to hit the comments and say, I'd lay money on that. Bama wins by 2 touchdowns or more. Or who would jump in there on the Florida State and take them and think, well, Bama wins, but they may be about, they may beat them by 10. So you take Florida State on that, and Bama wins by 10, you win some money. Having that senior-led offensive line and a quarterback that's thrown for 3,500 yards or so, it's not bad. Not bad at all. Got some good seniors on defense. They do have some transfers. 5 of their starters on defense are transferred in. So when they're picking up, 2-a-days and they're working out and then they're hitting the field and they're going to their position meetings, how are these guys, that's come in, like the linebacker, the Stephon Thompson, made 27 tackles, at Nebraska last year, played linebacker. How's he fitting in with Florida State defense? How's things going? Without just being there and seeing and me really looking at him and how he, seems to be accepting the playbook there at Florida State, it's kind of hard to say. But from watching their people talk about it, because I watch like the War Chant War Room or something, like I watched Locked On Auburn. I watch Dog Network. I watch these other teams' podcasts. That's how I learn about who their players are. That's how you learn about it. You go into the enemy camps and you just listen. And they're not enemies because we're all in the SEC together. I'm trying to get the SEC better. God dang, we've got to do better. This Big Ten stuff, it's been 2 years in a row. That's enough of that. So this may be if it's all went well for Florida State, I'll just say this. If it's went well for Florida State through the summer, installs have been good. They did have a guy that got kicked off the team. What was his name? Conrad Hussey out at Florida State. He was a safety, sophomore, so that played at State Quantitas Thomas. If you know, he won a state championship down there. I'm kind of curious, how this is going to work out. Redshirt junior Jalen Lucas. Going to be used in special teams. He's a very speedy athlete. He had a leg injury last year. Special teams. That's something we don't get a lot. Let's talk about special teams in a second. Ed Orgeron, says Ben, is eyeballing potential return to coaching, and if he does come back to coaching, where would he go? Coach O. Let's see. Well, God, he's so Cajun, man. I don't know if the higher colleges may have already kind of brushed him off, like you got Dan or somebody out at UNLV or something, I don't know. Depending on – I couldn't see him at Auburn. I thought, if Freeze comes out and they lose, if they're 2-2, when they go into, week 4 or 5, Could you see Coach O at Auburn? I couldn't. I couldn't see Coach O at Auburn. I don't know, man. I mean, you have to think about positions that's going to be open. Who's going to be, hunting a job? If he is, we've heard John Gruden too. We've heard, his name being thrown around there to get into a spot back, in college. He wants to coach in the ACC. I could see Gruden probably at Oklahoma. I don't know, man. Coach O is so just gravelly, old defensive line coach. He'll come out here and play football and I'll go Tigers. I mean, he's so Cajun. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know where he would fit. I don't know where he would fit. Alabama, Florida State. Gus has always given Saban trouble there, but Saban is retired. He's not there in Alabama anymore. We got to move on from that. Lucas got running back. We talked about he had hurt his leg last year, but really what we got to talk about is Roydell Williams. $53 yards rushing last year. Cam Davis, sophomore, and one guy I like. So Sawchuck, man, he comes from Oklahoma. He's on the list, man. They got him as third string back. Roydell being the senior, they're going to lean on him, I'm sure, a lot. Special teams, special player, special plays. Florida State may have all seniors on offensive line, which is probably where it counts the most. I could go along with that. I think most of you could too. But guys, all their special team starter guys, I think except for one, just like maybe the long snapper or something, they're all freshmen. They're all freshmen. I mean, what do you think? Special teams is important, man. Special teams is important. That may not be, that may not be a good thing. Now, going back on the defensive side here, Florida State, we'll come back through a few of these players. 20 solo tackles last year. He's a redshirt junior. Omar Graham. He played down there at Fort Lauderdale, Florida. He had 23 tackles the year before, 37 total last year, 20 solo. These are guys that's going to be in the rotation. Omar Graham. And I just talked about this Justin Cryer kid. They've really talked about him, really pumped him up a lot. He had 20 last year, 32 total tackles last year. You're bringing that back. He is a junior. He could play another year. So I'm telling you some stuff, for some pretty good players that's played and has some experience. We'll go down here to their safety spot. Looks like he's going to play nickel too a little bit, because they moved him, I think, from nickel over to safety. And he had a total of 15 tackles last year. Bama fans, since you're playing Alabama, here's another Alabama player that's at Florida State, Earl Little Jr. And I remember watching him at the A-Day game. I remember trying to keep up with him. I liked him, man. He played at American Heritage College. Same place. They're in that Fort Lauderdale area. That's a pretty good school. And the guy behind him's a sophomore that's going to come in, probably this Joseph kid, Joseph Edwards, number 3. So you can see some experience there. And if you had to count some of the experience versus the experience, now we're just going to talk about like graduating years. Okay, so we're laying out our case here. We're almost to get off. We'll lay this case out. Bama fans, take this and study on it and think about it. They're pretty darn close. We're talking about senior to senior. If I brought Bama's up, and I maybe I should have done that to compare seniors. Florida State's got a lot of seniors on this team, and the juniors that they have that played last year, some of them's pretty good. I know they won 2 games. It was terrible. It was a tragedy. But sometimes those games, like once you lose 2 or 3, and they had kids leave, so it kind of starts a trajectory of crap. And once all that went down, and they played Georgia, and it was bad. And a lot of kids left, then too. And I know that I've told you to start off the bat here, offensive line, all transfers in except one, but they're all seniors. If they put all that together, the running game's got to be better. You got to get, of course, Roy Dale, and you got to get Cam involved and the Sawchuck kid from Oklahoma. You got to get them involved. This Earl Little, I watched him play at Bama. I moved him over from nickel. He's said to have put on size during the summer. Talking about Earl Little. He's put on about 10, 20 pounds of muscle. That's exactly what you want to see. So, they may look if Florida State can keep this game like if they're down 7, going into the fourth quarter, they got a lot of experienced players, man. They got this senior-led offensive line. And I've told you some of these receivers they have, tailbacks, going to be decent. If they can create lanes for guys to run in, pick up 3, 4, 5 yards at a time, and their receivers will just catch the ball and be honest. And, of course, they did lose their safety, the Hussey kid. He got in a fight with the coach. This linebacker, Juice, 4 seniors on defense, 5 of the starters transferred in. The linebacker, the Thompson kid from Nebraska, the McCray, big upside, talking about this kid. And then those tackles, Jackson and Lyons. And then, these freshmen going to get in here and play the Lester kid too. He's a 4-star kid. I mean, so some of the freshmen they do have, Florida State's recruited pretty well. I mean, what are they? If I had to look, they're, I don't know. I think they was top 15 last time I checked. If they can keep it within a touchdown or something going into the fourth quarter, and Ty hasn't had the kind of game that fans would hope for. He's done okay. He's thrown for 200-something yards. He's ran for close to 100 maybe. But he threw a pick somewhere, and, Florida returned it and scored. Maybe Bama was up 2 touchdowns. They're driving to go up 3 touchdowns. He throws a pick 6. Well, they're, now, they're down 1 touchdown. It's 28-21 now. I don't know. Starting the fourth quarter, 28-21 Bama. The whole idea of this is that when you got seniors, they've played a lot of football. They ain't no telling how many hundreds and thousands snaps that this offensive line has played together. Not together, if you add up all their snaps together. They've played a lot of football, man. Got a lot of seniors up there on the front line. That's something I keep mentioning that. I'm just trying to, give you the other side of the coin. Now, what Bama fans would like to have, we'd like to see Ty come in and going in the fourth quarter, they're up 36-21, 36-14, going into the fourth, and Ty's thrown for 3 or 4 touchdowns, rushed for over 100 yards maybe, and Young, and probably Dre have, both rushed for over 100 yards, 150 yards apiece. You've seen Ryan made a touchdown catch, You've seen Jeremy Bernard make some big catches, get moving the ball down the field. Their tight ends have been getting involved, catch a few balls here and there. Jalen Hale, seen some good catches from him. Defensively, they've been sound enough. They've given up a few plays, here and there. Offensive line's, done some work. And Roy Dale's had, 100 yards rushing, maybe close to that in that game. He's had 80 yards. And then Sawchuck may have come in here. He may come in, rush for 50, 60 yards. Got a couple of touchdowns. Quarterback, Castellanos, he's threw a touchdown or two, and he's ran one. So when you get a veteran group like that, and they're going to be senior to senior up on the front on defense, who can outlast the other? That's what we'll leave the show on. Who's going to be able to outlast the other one? Alabama, Florida State. Week 1 matchup is coming very, very soon. Let's see here. Thoughts on the news about Auburn adding? Oh, good God. Yeah. Well, let's see. Let's look at some of the comments here. 73 Smith, dream on. Yeah, that may go along with that. Auburn 89. I mean, they're going to be 9-time national champions. Serious comment about it. Rock on, bro. Rock on, freaky bro. Let your hair down, bang your heads, claim 15 national championships. Because we all know what we've seen. I know what I've seen since watching football in the 80s, late 80s. It's one thing to, claim a championship if you finish the season undefeated. I don't, and the problem that some Bama fans have with it is that Auburn fans have always looked down their nose and said, well, we've just claimed 3, 2010, 57, and I think maybe they've claimed 83 or something. How dare you guys take these mythical titles and acquire yourself to the heads of the football college gods? We're Auburn. Our GPA is so much more higher than yours. You can claim your 18 national championships, but we really know that about 10 of those you've just made up. Who knows what happened in the 20s? We're Auburn. We're taking the ones that we played. The mythical accusations from their fans, my whole life, I've heard it. My whole life. Now, they can't say spit because they're doing the same thing. Look, if you know, Jeff, he's old enough to even remember, before BCS, and Jeff remembers football back in the 60s. You'd pick up your paper, and if the team here is, undefeated, Auburn was undefeated, and I studied all this years and years ago. Auburn's undefeated, 83, and I think the only game they tied with Georgia Tech that year, they played no ranked teams. And their last game was the Iron Bowl, but like 58, you can look in that year. I think they're claiming it too. Now, Cohen is saying that, like, I think they had 16 papers back then. And then it become 14 and then 12. And if it was a unanimous, like in some of those years, may have been 83. Jeff, you can correct me. Then the thing was, in that time, if they wrote you in as, well, crap, what does this thing do? If the papers wrote you in, then you were champs. Sorry, guys. I apologize. If the papers wrote you in back then in the 60s, 70s, 80s, whatever, I mean, but some of these that they're claiming, the older ones, I don't see. I went to the NCAA.com. Anybody can look it up. I don't see a paper giving them a vote to be, one. And the thing is, here's the hard truth of it. There's probably 5 or 6 that Bama don't claim that they could. So if we're going to go totally by undefeated seasons, then I guess Bama could have 25 national championships. And we all know how it was with Harvard and Princeton and Yale. Yale had, 30 national championships. Did you know that like Minnesota's got they're like 15-time national champions. Minnesota, because like from the 1910s to 1920s and 30s, Minnesota won a lot of football games because some of the first pro teams started, up north, like Chicago area. Okay, and I think the first college football type stuff was around Maryland or something. And it was the law schools. We're talking about late 1800s. Alabama and Auburn was men's Methodist college. I don't even know when they started to field, they played high school teams back then. Jeff, you can tell them. I mean, anybody can look this stuff up. You can look it up. So what I think about it, serious answer, I think it's awesome. Hey, bro, go kill it. Put the years up on the stadium. But we that know, you just know. You can look, you can Google, man. You got computers, and you can look it up, and you can see that year they're claiming that Ohio State was champions. This other year they're claiming Clemson won it. They shared with LSU. I think it was 83. Number 1 played 2 because it was 1 and 2. So just to claim undefeated seasons, who cares really? If I guess that's trying to make them feel important, it's been so bad there for so long. They're like the bad little kid that never gets break because he never has no money at school. That's what it feels like Auburn has been for years and years and years now. Like you remember when he used to be the cool kid and he wore he rolled his pants up tight at the bottom and he spiked his hair and he wore sunglasses at school. It's pretty cool. Well, time passed him by, and when those eras changed and styles changed, he kept tight rolling his pants and wearing sunglasses to school. And that's not the style anymore. And they don't even have money to get break. So now he's not tight rolling his pants, and he's just let his hair grow out a little bit, and he's trying to be more relevant. And he wore the Jordans so long that they come back in style. They're trying to fit in with the cool kids, man. Auburn is trying to fit in with the cool kids. Hey, but we that were on the playground the whole time from kindergarten all the way through, we knew that kid, and we saw he had times of being cool, but it was like a year or two. And he's just trying to fit in. And he's that kid that walks up to the cool kids, the Georgian and Alabama, and they just kind of appease him, look at him every once in a while. Yeah. It just don't make sense. It kind of seems a little petty. And you kind of like the kid just because you kind of feel sorry for him sometimes. But it's just the truth. It's just look it up. Facts are FACTS, facts. And that's just what they are. So if they want to claim it and they've got them a new pair of shoes and they want to be the new kid on the playground, they got the cool members only jacket, and that's went out and they finally, have gotten style and they're wearing the pullovers, the hoodies, like all the kids wear now in the summer. I have no idea how they wear it. Let them wear them, man. Just let them put the titles up there on the thing. Let them claim 15 titles. Jeff's a big Ohio State fan. I'm sure there's years that Ohio State don't claim. There's a lot of years out there that teams kind of don't claim. Is there some that Bama claims that they shouldn't? Yes, absolutely. There's about 5 that I could say, I don't know, guys. You lost that last game. How are they champions? Like they lost to Notre Dame. It was Bama's claims like 77, 78, Jeff. Montana was at Notre Dame then, right? I mean, what? But I can give one example just from reading literature. I can read. In 66, Alabama beat Nebraska in their bowl game. Tell them what happened, Jeff. Tell them what happened in 66. Bama beat Nebraska. Beat them bad. Actually kicked an onside kick after coming out of the half when they were up like 20-0. The Orange Bowl. And they would have been the first Triple Crown in the modern times era of football since 1910 Harvard or something. When they kind of started having legit papers, keeping up with it, and, had 14 riders, and all 14 riders would ride them in. 65, 64, 65, they won it. They should have been crowned 66, but they didn't because Notre Dame and Michigan State, I think it was Michigan State, I think Notre Dame had the ball last, if I remember reading correctly, and they took a knee at the end of the game and tied like 6-6. So they split the national championship that year with them. Something that had to do with it because of some politics that was going on in this state that was very much against a certain group of people, which is absolutely silly. It was dumb. It was a dumb time period that we had to live in, and as a country, we had to grow and learn from it, and we have. Is it perfect? No, because people's not perfect. There wasn't but one perfect person. He didn't play football or coach it or play any kind of sport. He was a carpenter. He helped his daddy build cabinets and chairs. That was the only perfect person. And that was part of holding them out of being able to be Triple Crown winners. They didn't want the headlines of Bama saying that they had won it that year. So there is times that Bama years they do not claim. I think 5. And there's probably about 5 that's like, I don't know. That you didn't even win So Auburn being undefeated in those years and claiming it, claim away, little bro. I mean, just let them claim it. I think it's great because it's just giving buzz to them. That's what they're looking for, man. They've been so bad they ain't had to win a season in years since 2020. They're going to retire Cam Newton's jersey. That's cool. They should have done retired it. You ask me, he's one of the top 5 most electric college football players ever. My top college football guys would be like, I'm a little older, so I'm a Michael Vick guy. Dude, you talking about freak. Wow. Before Cam Newton was even thought about probably. Well, let's see, what year has he been born? That's pretty close. Michael Vick was it. He was awesome. LT, played at TCU. Tim Tebow, did you see the games he's won? Not just a one and done and come in and, Auburn didn't have a great offense, but nobody really big names to throw to. Their defense was solid. They don't get enough credit. And they had a top matched running back too. And Cam in the backfield, he's just going to make plays happen. So retiring this jersey, going to claim 9 titles. Rock on, bro. Go get it. Yep, go Vols. They're going to have a interesting game. We'll play Syracuse first. We can probably kick that one around next Tuesday also. BCS, 2004 LSU Oklahoma. It was Saban wins his first title. Yes. Yeah, it was a good game. I do appreciate you, man. Thank you for reminding everybody. Guys, hit the like button over there. I mean, That helps the video more than anything. A lot of comments helps a lot because I like talking to you guys. That's what this show is. It's like a room sports. We're just dudes sitting around talking football. That is just to click the like button. It's just one simple, just click the like. It's really easy. It really helps the video. Ben says, so is one that they're claiming, okay, I don't even know the ones they're claiming. All right, in 10, 13, 14, okay. In those years, let's just look it up. I mean, if we want to have fun here, 1910, which they would have been, they'd have been Men's Methodist College. They would not have been Auburn. (1910) NCAA football season discovered both Harvard and Pittsburgh were retrospectively named the NCAA champions by various selections. There was no single universal recognized champion at the time, so anybody, I guess, could claim. Harvard claims the national championship for the season based on the selection by Billingsley, Helms, Holgate. Those were the reports. That was the 4 big papers. And I told you, it went from – they later got to like 10, 12, 14 papers. Harvard coach Halton had claimed that undefeated season. They were 8-0. Pittsburgh also claims they were 9-0. Other teams like Illinois' Vanderbilt also had strong seasons and were considered for some of the titles. So 1910 football season talks about some rules, talks about golly schools, Citadel Bulldogs, Louisville Cardinals, Utah Utes out there in the Rocky Mountain from the Independent Conference. And we're looking here at 1910 Missouri Valleys. Okay, here they are. Auburn was undefeated. They were 5-0. Overall, they lost a game. And in that season, Auburn lost to Texas 9-0. So they were not undefeated. So claiming undefeated season 1910. Okay. Ben's got them up on the screen. 1910 Auburn. No. You lost. If you're going to claim them just to be undefeated, well, that's a lie. You weren't undefeated. We're looking at it right here. You lost to Texas October 29th at Texas at Clark Field in Austin, 9-0. Wow, what a defense Auburn had. That's the only points they give up all year. They beat Georgia Tech, Clemson, Howard, Mississippi A&M at Drill Field in Auburn. It's in the old Drill Field. They beat Tulane, which they played over at Harrison County Fairgrounds in Gulfport, Mississippi. It's great. I love this old stuff. They beat Georgia 26-0, November the 24th, 1910. Auburn, he was not undefeated that year. Okay. So that would put you out. Okay, so 1910. All right, then they're claiming 1913 national champions. NCAA recognizes 1930 football season complex with a no single concession national champion. Officially, NCAA Division I records books currently Auburn, Chicago, and Harvard. So let's go down the 1913 season and see who's who. Go down here to the Southern Intercollegiate Athletic is why is this over here? I don't want to see that. Auburn finished number 1. They were undefeated. Okay. Alabama was 4-3 that year. LSU 6-1 overall. Georgia Tech 7-2. Mississippi A&M was 6-1. So Auburn was the only undefeated team. So they were undefeated. And in their schedule, they beat Mercer, Florida, Clemson, Mississippi A&M, LSU, Georgia Tech, Vanderbilt, and then won at Georgia. Wow, what a year. They only gave up 13 points all year. They had 12,000 guys at the Georgia game. They played it in Atlanta. So if they want to claim that one, hey, rock on, bro. I mean, you give up 13 points all year. 1913, Auburn, national champions. Let's rock with it. Let's let them take it, man. What a football team they had that year. And they're claiming 1914. We're just going through this. This is what we do. I mean, if y'all was all sitting around here and in the room together, we would all have our phones out and we'd be talking about this. NCAA record book list: Army, Illinois, and Texas having selected as national championships in 1914. Army, Illinois, Auburn, 1914. They were 8-0 and 1. winning Southeastern. They won the SIAA title and were named national champions by James Howe Power Ratings, according to the Auburn Wire. So the season, Tennessee finished undefeated. So now we're going to play the game. We're playing the game. We're playing this undefeated game. Auburn, you cannot claim 1914. You're out. Tennessee went undefeated, won all their games. 1914 Auburn team lost at Georgia. Time ran out of the clock, and it was zeros. And they did not play Tennessee. They played Marion, Florida, Clemson, A&M, and they finished with Carousel, a team out of Atlanta, Georgia down there. They played at Rickwood Field, played Vanderbilt. What about that? Wouldn't you love to have been there? And, God, that'd been great. God, I would have loved to have been there. 1914 at Rickwood Field, Birmingham. Auburn beat Vandy 6-0. 10,000 people, they said, in attendance. That's awesome. They played at Bars Field in Jacksonville, Florida. God, I bet it was hot as crap. I bet these freaking bugs would just killed you. There is no bug spray. There ain't no skeeter stuff. All right, so Auburn out. All right, hope you are keeping up with this. I'm not. 1914, Auburn out. So they've already missed 2, 10 and 14. 58, I can already tell you no. 83, no. Okay. Let's go to the 83 year, and I'll remind everybody. Let's see. Let's look at 58. I think that's the one that, LSU won. Okay, you're out on that. I'm sorry. Call it what you want to. By this time, I don't want to say football was getting good, but football was kind of starting to really turn up. Okay. And in the conference, Cal finished 1 out west, Wyoming, Dartmouth, Oklahoma. Missouri was number 1 in the Big 7 conference. Clemson finished. North Texas. Okay. Right here. Go over. Auburn finished 9-0-1. This was 58. This is the year they tied with Georgia Tech, like I said earlier. And they beat Alabama 14-8. 44,000 people in attendance. Wow. Played at Legion Field. That's one of the first Iron Bowls. It may have been the first. Was it the 57? I think it was the first. Was it 58? I think it was 57. I think. So, no, you're not undefeated. Oh, sorry, Auburn, you're out on 1958. Now, 83, that's also a year I think they had tied. Miami Hurricanes had won it outright that year. They had a lot of rule changes and a lot of stuff had went on. Number 1 Nebraska posted their 4th consecutive 50-point performance. And that's the thing that they're not taking consideration. We're talking about teams that just completely dominated these eras in football. Eras. Not just to have a good year or two, but just to completely dominate eras in football. Texas in the Southwest Conference, number 1. Below them, SMU, Baylor, Texas A&M, Arkansas. See a lot of SEC teams in there. Miami finished number 1 in Division 1A Independence, behind Virginia Tech, Boston College, and those teams. UCLA won out west, North Illinois up north. Where is you don't even find the conference on here. Huh. Auburn finished 3rd that year. Where the heck are they at? Washington State, Arizona. I don't even see the SEC. Well, it wasn't SEC. It was, well, I guess I'm going to have to do – 11-1 record. Auburn finished 11-1 record during the Sugar Bowl victory over Michigan, but was ultimately ranked 3rd in the AP poll, while Auburn had a strong claim to the national title due to playing the toughest schedule that year in 83. Miami ultimately won the And I'm not quite old enough to remember that. Controversy 83 season was marked by the championship selection process. Nebraska and Texas were undefeated going to the bowl games, but both lost their matchups. Despite their loss to Texas A&M, Auburn played a challenging schedule that year. So their 1983 season, and it's not even going to give me the. So they lost to A&M that year. That's just. Auburn recently decided to claim 83 national championships along with several others, recognizing their titles based on various systems selected. Auburn claims that despite their loss to A&M, okay, you can't claim it. Now, we're playing the undefeated game. That's the game we're playing. So, no, it's like I said, you can't claim that one. 93, I think that was the year that I think they got hosed that year. They got hosed bad in a game. They were 11-0. And I think the crap was because the year before they were trying to figure that they lost to Texas in 92 that year. They had finished one. Let's see, they won all their games. Played a lot of close games. Played with number 4 Florida closely 93 because Florida was good in that time. They beat Alabama 22-14. Alabama was ranked 11. Florida was 4. So they played 2 ranked teams that year. So if we're going to do strength of schedule, and they're saying that their schedule was good, I don't see that. They're not. They lost by 3 to a Florida team that wound up. They can say that they won the conference. They beat all the teams in the conference, and they beat the number 1 team in the East, which was Florida. Auburn claims, I hope y'all can claim a 93 SEC chip. I can dig it. National champions, no. And in 2004, man, get the crap out of here. Just totally go away. No. That was not beating USC. Reggie, but that, no. And Auburn had a good team. I thought they had a good team that year. I would have liked to seen the game. It would have been really interesting. But they didn't. They didn't play. They didn't get to play it. Should they have? Yeah. So we just went through 4 of those. Claim the SEC, but, just to be undefeated, they got about 4 of those that they could legitimately claim. They got about 4, Ben. Yeah, 27-time national champions. So in 2004, records 12-0. They beat Virginia Tech in the Sugar Bowl, but was denied to play in the national championship game in the OBCS system. Yeah, I remember Urban being at Utah. Urban Liar. Boys is Chris Peterson. Yeah, Oklahoma, Bob Stoops, USC, Pete Carroll. What a time of college football we had in those days. Talking about Hall of Fame coaches. Yeah, I mean, that's what I said. Ohio State, they got years. I'm sure that any team could go back and find some, because actually Ohio State in that year that they claim, Ohio State has the trophy. They're the one that the press deemed to be national champion. And Auburn's claim, you can't claim that. And then these other 3 or 4 that I like, we just went through it. If you're going to play undefeated game, okay. You had those 4 undefeated seasons out of 100 years of. Really? I mean, does that make you just feel great? Because you had 4 or 5 undefeated seasons, or, back during this time period. That, hey, do it, man. It's not hurting anybody's feelings. But everybody knows. We already know. I mean, we can watch and we can see. They've had 12. I said 9 or 10. Pardon me. Auburn has had 12 undefeated seasons in their existence of 150 years of football, 170 years of football. 12. Okay. Alabama's had 11 undefeated seasons, includes a season where they were undefeated and either won a national championship or was recognized for national championships. So if you're going to claim it, then just claim 12, and Bama's got 11, you got 12. All right. You're better. You're a much better program, and everybody's just crazy because everybody else is just cheating. Because that's what Cohen said now. Wait till August 1st, because when August 1st comes open, boom, we're going to be top 10 recruiting. The doors are going to be open. Everybody's cheating. They're all paying the kids money, and we're going to catch up. Well, 76 Rose Bowl, Ohio State led 10-7 in the third, and then running the ball with Archie and Pete. Woody decides to throw and intercept it. It was intercepted. UCLA drives the ball and scores. Next drive, same thing. Ohio State lost. 1993, Ben says, was the year that Alabama got in trouble. Yeah. What was that? Some guys had to pay some money back and some shady deals and hotel rooms and Fat Phil up Tennessee. He didn't like it because he was trying to get the same player, and they were doing the same thing. Everybody, and that's the thing about paying players. NIL's running football. Everybody, no, it's not. That's been going on for 100 years. Alabama used to put the guys working at the furniture store there in Tuscaloosa. That's where the elephant come from, because it was a moving company that took their pads and their equipment to the games. That's where they got their mascot, the elephant, because of the moving company there in Tuscaloosa that the players worked at. They weren't working. They got paid to work. We know what's going on. Come on, man. Not stupid. One of the Bears' old players won a title the previous year. Gene Stubbs, right? Alabama finished 1-12, 93 in that year and got in trouble. Yes. And then they did later on too. So 07, I think, was it 07 or 8? Some Saban was there. The swim team. And when I was in college, when you get done with a class, like I took a bunch of, let's say biology class, those books were expensive. I'd pay $250 for a biology book. Well, I would meet some guys, around campus there or something. Hey, you taking biology 201 next year? Yeah, man, I'm taking that. You give me, I'll take $100 for my book. Okay, that's better than $250. And my book was like new. It ain't beat up or used. Or now a lot of these now knew how it is, and it was going that way when I was getting out of college. It's CD stuff, or you just put this CD into your computer and it loads the material you had to turn in for the class. So you couldn't really just buy the book. But the swim team was selling their books, like the sophomores were selling them to the freshman class coming in, a $50 book. They're like, here, $10. Okay. Well, you can't do that NCAA infraction violation, Bama. You're in trouble. You got to cancel all the games. 10 games cut from that season for selling books to other students. It wouldn't. What do coaches have to do with that? He wasn't out there stealing plays and signs from another team to being advantaged to win a football game. And Michigan got away with. I don't hear nothing out of Michigan. Well, an hour late. Oh, yeah. Yes, that's what we do, Jeff. Thank you all for coming by and hanging out. And hey, we got to go through that and talk about some Alabama-Florida State matchup. Florida State's got a lot of darn guys, man. They got a lot of seniors up front. If they can make it work, they can keep things interesting, keep it kind of close. They may be able to keep it closer than some people think. And Bama may only win by 10. Maybe they're up 2 scores and Florida State scores late. They have one way to find out. And find out more, come back Thursday night, subscribe so you'll know when I come on live. Probably come on earlier because I'm going to be over at Sandrock. Spring Garden is coming over there to play. I'm going to go over and check the guys out. So we may come on at 5:30 and talk for 30 minutes and talk about, break down some of that game and just some local games. Thursday nights are usually going, not unless something crazy happens. Not unless something weird happens for college. Something unheard of news. Then Thursday nights, usually from now on, it's just probably going to be your high school breakdown for the next night. Have some coaches on, maybe. I always like maybe invite some of them on, tell us how things are going so far and that kind of stuff. So, guys, I appreciate all of you coming hanging out. Then so they had to vacate wins from 05-7. I guess talking about Bama, right? Yeah. We are entertaining ourselves, Jeff. Thank y'all for hanging out and entertaining me. I could not do this without you guys. All right, hit the like button there at the end of the video. Appreciate you. Florida State, Bama breakdown, Auburn 9 championships. Last comment on that, serious comment, claim them. Hey, whatever makes you happy and makes you feel important, I guess. Go kill it, bro. So love you guys. Thank y'all. Have a great evening. Thank you.